You do? Hmm. All right. Well, we are going to start on our backs today, and I'm going to have you guys turn around. And then make sure when you lie down, you've got a block and a blanket and a strap if you need it, but we don't actually need a strap today. Just if you want one. And you're going to just lie down on your back. And for our first lie down, I want you to just notice what it feels like to have the body be super long. And you're just going to notice what points of the body touch the mat, where there feels like there's space. And once you feel like you've taken that imprint, we'll go ahead and bend both knees. We'll plant our feet firmly on the floor. And then I want you to walk your feet towards the outer edges of your mat, let your knees fall in. And then from here, you'll wrap your arms around your torso and let the elbows just rest on top of each other and the elbows rest on the chest. We're going to start in this position. And I want you to just notice what you feel here. And so you can take a few audible sighs out of the mouth if that feels good to you. I heard something in a class I was taking this week that is going to become our theme for today. The teacher said, granted it was a restorative or yin or something to that effect class, but she said, when we relax, we find strength. And I thought it was such an interesting concept to take into other areas of our life other than yin, other than restorative yoga, because I think it's very true. There's so many aspects of life where we try to muscle through, we try to hold on, we try to try. And sometimes we just need to soften. Sometimes we just need to let go. Take 2 more breaths here. Good morning, Julie. And then at the end of your next exhalation, you'll notice whichever arm is on top and you'll switch which arm is on top. So in any case, we're focusing on this idea of trying not to try so much. We're going to do some things that require you to engage muscles, but I want you to notice what it feels like to just allow yourself to relax, to let loose, to be soft. And you'll just take 3 more breaths here, noticing again, if you want to take a big inhale through the nose and an audible exhalation out through the mouth. Yeah. And as best as you can, really just let the elbows rest on the weight of the chest. It just encourages a different part of the diaphragm to start to breathe. And then at the end of your next inhalation, let's go ahead and bring our hands to the back of our head, interlacing our hands at the back of our head. And you're going to keep your feet like this. And this is going to seem super awkward, but you're going to lift your head just a smidge. Take your elbows over towards the right. Put your head back down. And then notice if you can really, so over to the right, yep. And let the head be heavy, the arms be heavy. Really breathe on that left side of the body, from the left armpit through the left ribs, the left waist, down to the left pelvis. And just see if you can take a breath in there. And then on your next inhalation, you'll lift the head, you'll come back through center and then over towards the left. And then put the head back down, let the elbows be heavy. And then find that length from that right elbow through the right armpit, the right ribs, right waist, the right hip. Awesome sauce. And you'll just take 1 more breath cycle here. On your next in breath, you'll come back through center. Take your head and everything over to the right once again. Put everything back down. Now this is going to sound super weird. Keep your right foot exactly as it is. Extend your left foot to the lower right corner of your mat. Straighten that leg long, flex through that foot. And as you flex through that foot, you're going to really roll the inner thigh down towards the floor. You're going to press out through that left hip. Breathe into that left waist. Breathe into that left rib cage. Breathe into that left elbow. Awesome sauce. On your next exhalation, go ahead and bend that left knee. Plant the foot back to the outer edges of the mat, knees together. Inhale, come back through center with the chest. And exhale the chest over towards the left. Once the head is rooted, you'll take that right foot down towards the lower left corner of your space. And you really want to press out through the big toe mound, really root down that inner roll, Roll the inner left thigh down. Is that your right thigh? Inner right thigh. And just breathe all along that right side body, finding nice length. Nice job. On your next exhalation, go ahead and bend that knee, plant the foot back onto the floor, and then you'll inhale, draw the head and everything back through center, and exhale over to the right once again. Awesome stuff. And so we're just going to keep adding on to this. So your head is over to the right, extend that left leg to the lower right-hand corner of the mat. Then from here, you might stay here, or you might cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh. Sorry, yep. Sorry, right ankle on top of the left ankle. So both legs are long. There we go. Banana asana. Yeah, and then you're just going to breathe and then see if you can root down on that outer left hip as you breathe into that left side body, and make sure both feet are flexed and active. Yeah, and then we'll gently come out of that. So the leg that's on top, you'll bend that first. You'll bring the left leg back. Both knees come together. Inhale the chest back through center, and then exhale the head and everything over to the left. From there, extend your right leg to the lower left corner of your mat. Stack the left ankle on top of the right ankle. And so everything is kind of arcing up and to the left, and you're flexing through your feet. You're rooting down into that right hip and breathing into that right side body as best as you can. And you just got one more breath cycle here, noticing how you might soften, find a little bit more ease here. And then on your next in-breath, we're going to slowly come out of this. So you bend the top leg, plant it on the floor, bring the right foot back to the floor, and then inhale, bring your head and chest back through center. And then once you come back to center, just take a moment to pause there. Notice what you notice here. And then we'll go ahead and bring our feet hip distance apart. Bring your right knee in towards your chest. Interlace your hands at the back of your right thigh, and then inhale, send that right foot up towards the sky, and take a few ankle circles here. And you're just really breathing, continuing to notice what that feels like. And after you've gone about 4 or 5 circles one way, you'll switch directions and go 4 or 5 circles the other way. Nice job. And then you'll go ahead and come to a neutral spot once you feel even on the sides. Cross that right thigh completely over your left thigh. Open your arms out into a T shape and pull both legs over towards the right. And so over to the right, other right. There we go. And then you're pulling down with that right thigh against the left thigh. You're pushing up with that left thigh. And we're just finding a little bit more intensity to what we might have found a little bit earlier. You're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing the gentle opening of the outer hip. And then on your next in-breath, bring the legs back through center. Pause here. Make sure your feet are directly, your left foot is in line with your left hip. Cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. Flex through that foot a lot, and then press your legs towards your chest, taking a figure 4 shape. And you'll flex through that right foot, pause here. Some of you will just stay here. Some of you will thread your hands through the hole, grab the back of the left thigh, front of the left shin for Sukhi Randrasana, figure 4. And again, you're going to pay attention to the breath. And I want you all to notice if you can send more of the weight of your pelvis over to the left. So it might mean, that you have to shift all the leg configuration over to the left. And then if you're holding onto the back of the thigh, you might press your right forearm elbow into that right inner thigh as you pull the left knee closer to you. If you're holding onto the top of the left shin, you might drag it down towards your butt or drag the shin bone forward towards your left knee, and just notice how that changes the sensation. And then at the end of your next exhalation, you'll gently release your hands, draw the left foot to the floor, draw the right foot next to it, and just take a moment to pause and notice what you notice between the sides. And then we'll go ahead and try all that on the other side. Next exhale, draw the left knee into the chest, interlace your hands at the back of the thigh, and then inhale, send that foot up towards the sky, and take 4 to 5 circles with the ankle one way. And after you've done that, you'll switch directions. And so we're coming back to this whole idea of where can we soften, where can we relax, I think that we are trained very much to think that we can direct every facet of our lives, but sometimes we can't. Sometimes our best bet is to just see where we can soften and relax and trust in what's coming next that we may or may not be able to see. Go ahead and come to stillness when you're ready. Cross that left thigh completely over your right thigh like you're wearing a dress, arms open out to the side, and then pull both legs over to the left. Both legs pull to the left. So the right leg resists to the right, the left leg pulls it to the left, and you're just breathing all along that whole long right side body. Noticing what this feels like because you're stretching the top. TFL, maybe your IT band. On your next in-breath, you'll gently come back up through center. Make sure the right foot is still in line with the right hip. Cross the left ankle over the top of the right thigh. Flex through that foot. And without using your hands, draw your legs towards your chest first. Keep pressing that right thigh towards you. And then if you'd like, you might thread your hands through the whole of the legs. Grab the back of that right thigh or front of the right shin. And then just as we did before, notice if your pelvis is sort of tipping to the right and see if you can draw it a little bit more to the left. Sorry, to the right. So see if it's tipping to the left and draw it towards the right. So that bent knee, there we go. And then you're just gonna pause and you're gonna breathe. Some of you will press that left elbow into the left inner thigh. Some of you will pull that right shin down towards your pelvis. Some of you will slide the right shin towards the right knee. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe. And then at the end of your next exhalation, you'll gently release your hands, draw the right foot to the floor, draw the left foot to the floor, and just take a moment to pause here. Bring your hands to the tops of your thighs, and I want you to lock out your arms. So really push your thighs away from your head. And then you might take a few little pelvic rocks here. So just arching and rounding the low back as you push your hands into your thigh to find some traction and some space in the pelvis and the low back. Awesome sauce. And then once you feel like you've gotten enough of that and you can find neutrality with your pelvis, you'll come to stillness. Then draw your knees in towards your chest. Keep your pelvis rooted to the floor. Grab the outside edges of your feet and draw the soles of the feet together. So really push your feet into each other. Really keep your bum on the floor. So it might feel like you're arching your low back quite a bit. Yep. And then you'll just stay here for a few breaths, really pressing your elbows in towards those thighs if you can, really keeping the pelvis rooted. And as weird as this sounds, you're just going to open your right foot for half happy baby. Keep the left foot exactly as it is. Press that right elbow into the inner right thigh. Really draw that right knee down and breathe into whatever sensation you happen to experience on the inner right thigh. Yeah. And then on your next exhale, the feet come back together, and then we'll go ahead and try that on the other side. So the right foot stays as it is, the left foot reaches up towards the sky, left knee draws down, pelvis is rooted. So it feels like you're really arching your low back. We've got 1 to 2 more breath cycles here. Awesome sauce. The end of your next exhalation, both feet open up towards the sky for happy baby Ananda Balasana. And again, you're really seeing if you can root that pelvis on the floor as you breathe into the inner thighs or wherever you might feel the stretch. Feet are active. Nice job here. And then at the end of your next exhalation, you'll gently release, hugging the knees into the chest, maybe rocking a little bit right to left if you'd like. When you feel complete with that, you'll find stillness and then lower the feet back to the floor. Okay, last few things. Let's go ahead and inhale and reach your arms up and over your head. Keep your arms on the floor. Walk your feet so they're hip distance apart if they're not. And then you're going to inhale, push through the feet, lift your hips all the way up. And then exhale, slowly roll down bone by bone by bone by bone by bone by bone by bone. And you're going to do that about 5 to 10 times. So you'll inhale, press up. And then you're exhaling and slowly rolling down, trying to create space, trying to create strength in the spine by relaxing any of the unnecessary tension. And every time you inhale and you come up, as you exhale, I want you to imagine that somebody's pulling your arms away from you. And so you resist them as you slowly lower every vertebra back to the floor, articulating through it as slowly as you can. Yeah. And then you'll just keep going like that, finding a gentle opening in the back and in the breath. Pulling away as you slowly lower the vertebra back down. Yep. We've got about 2 more to go. Slowly pulling down. Awesome. And then the next time you inhale and lift your pelvis up, you're going to go ahead and stay there. Then you'll exhale, lower your hands alongside your hips. Some of you will go ahead and grab the outer edges of your mat and walk your shoulders underneath you. Some of you will walk your shoulders underneath you and interlace your hands, and some of you will just bend your elbows. But you're going to choose what works for you, and you're going to take 4 to 5 breaths here. Just observing and noticing what the breath feels like. Noticing how you can find strength and stability in the legs, but maybe ease and relaxation in your mouth. Yep. And you're just noticing what you notice. How's the breath? How's the body? How are you? Nice work. We've got about 2 to 3 more breath cycles here. Continue to press down into the big toe mounds and the pinky toe mounds evenly. Rolling those inner thighs down and lifting the outer hips up. Yep. Nice job, guys. At the end of your next exhalation, you will release your hands, untuck the shoulders, and slowly lower your vertebra back down to the floor. Once the spine is long, you'll take a moment to extend your right leg long, and then extend your left leg long, and just check in. So we started here. What do you notice as of just that 10-minute thing? How's the back now? Where is it touching the floor? Where is it not? And then as you're ready, you'll roll over onto your abdomens. When you find yourself on your belly, just take a moment to be on your belly. Your feet are about hip distance apart. Let's go ahead and start by bringing our hands alongside our rib cage. So thumbs are pressing down. And before we go any further, separate your feet hip distance apart. From there, I want you to press down into your big toe mounds and your pinky toe mounds. Strengthen your legs and then lengthen your tailbone straight back. From here, pull your heart forward to lift your head. Awesome. Keep those legs active. And then I want you to hover your arms off the floor. Inhale, sweep them out to the sides, right to left. Yep. Exhale, lengthen the tailbone back, draw the low belly in, and then inhale, you'll swim your arms out and up and over your head. And exhale, you'll swim them back alongside your hips. So you've got about, where's snow angels? Yep, belly snow angels. And so you've got about 10 of these. And you'll notice if you can lift a little higher with the head and the chest as you reach the arms forward. And then you'll notice if you can keep that height as you reach the arms back. Yeah. And so we're strengthening the upper back. You're pressing the tops of your feet down into the floor for dear life to engage the backs of the legs. If you can, you want to contract the shoulder blades as you come back so that you're really engaging, yeah, that upper back. And then keep your neck long. So chin to chest just a little bit. Yep. Awesome. We've got about 10. I wasn't counting, so I hope you are. Last one, Roberta said, because I wasn't counting, it's your last one. All right, the next time your arms are up and over your head, you're gonna pause there and you're gonna breathe, and you're gonna just take 3 breath cycles, and you're gonna see if you can push your toes down and lift your head and lift your arms. And if you'd like to, you'll lengthen your tailbone back and then float your legs off for Superman and Superwoman for 3. Low back long for 2. Low back longer for 1. Next exhale, everything lowers the heck down. Yeah, nice job. And then you'll just take a moment to relax. You know, a lot of you do lift weights, and you notice that your rest point is actually really important. You have to take your full rest because then it allows you to do another set. Not to worry, I'm not going to make you do that again, but you know, it's important. All right, on your next in-breath, let's go ahead and come up onto our forearms. Just prop yourself up for a Sphinx pose. Yep. And some of you are just going to stay right here. Some of you are going to drop your right ear over to your right shoulder, pull back with your left hand. You might open and close the mouth. Make sure both legs are still active. And then you'll inhale and you'll come back through center, and you'll do that to the other side, lowering the left ear towards the left shoulder, pressing down into the right palm, pulling it back isometrically, maybe opening and closing your mouth. Awesome sauce. So then you'll inhale and you'll come back through center. Make sure your elbows are directly underneath your shoulders. Your feet are hip distance apart. And you're going to inhale here in center, and then you're going to exhale, try to look at your pubic bone. We've got about 10 of these. Inhale, you'll come forward into that baby cow shape. And then exhale, look forward, or rather under to your pubic bone. Really see if you can see your pubic bone, which might mean you have to lift your pelvis up. We've got about 10 of these. And as we progress through them, you might try to look at your knees next. And in order to lift your knees, you're going to have to look at your knees. You'll have to lift more and more of your pelvis off the floor. And so you'll keep going. At some point in time, you might decide you want to actually look at your toes. And so if you decide you want to look at your toes, you're obviously going to have to lift your knees off the floor. And grimace at me the whole time as you're doing this, finding sneaky core work, as Erica would say. Yep. We've got about, I don't know, 4 more. I wasn't really counting. So as you do these last 4, you might notice what it feels like to maybe just hold in that contracted position for a breath cycle and see what that feels like. Awesome sauce. And we're going to say that this is our last one. The next time you're in that rounded position, you're going to stay there for about 3 breath cycles. I want you to push down through your forearms a lot. I want you to pull your low belly in a lot. Yep, and push the floor away a crap ton. And you don't even have to lift the pelvis. We're just looking underneath. And then you've got 3, and you've got 2, and then you've got 1. And then you're going to slowly roll all the way down, laying the chest down and the head down, and you'll breathe, and you'll notice what that feels like. Can you fully give yourself permission to relax so that every other thing that you encounter in life, you have the capacity to bring your full, honest, vibrant self to it? Awesome sauce. All right, go ahead and bend your right knee. Reach around with one or both hands and grab that right ankle. And I want you to play around here. Some of you will reach both hands back to grab that foot. Some of you will just reach one. Some of you will flex that right foot. Some of you will point that right foot. Some of you will draw the shoulder blades together on the back and kick the foot back just a little bit. Some of you will lift the thigh up. You're going to take a moment to just play with what feels good to you. That left leg, the opposite leg, is still long. And sometimes it feels really good to keep it actively pushing into the floor so your tailbone keeps lengthening back. And then when you're ready, you'll release that and we'll try the other side. So you'll bend your left knee. You'll reach around with one or both hands. You'll grab that foot and then explore. Do you want your foot pointed? Do you want your foot flexed? Do you want your foot close to your butt? Do you want your foot away? Do you want to draw those shoulder blades together on the back and kick back with that shin bone? You pay attention to what you're experiencing here and how you might be able to soften just a little bit in order to find your own inner strength. Because that's the reality. I think that when we're trying to force ourselves to do things, we're often trying to force ourselves to be someone or something that we are not. And that does take us out of our strength. That takes us out of our capacity to be who we are. Awesome sauce. All right, go ahead and release that. Now, this is a portion in the practice where if you found that you were happy and you could easily reach both of your ankles with no issue, then you'll just grab your ankles. If you felt like your legs were really too far away, you might use a strap that'll go across the front of your shin bones. So you choose whatever works for you, but you'll bend both knees and you'll reach around and you'll grab your ankles if you can. Awesome. From here, before we come up, let's go ahead and lift your pelvis away from the floor like I'm trying to run a choo-choo train underneath your hips. So choo-choo train comes underneath your hips, your butt lifts up. Great. With your butt lifting up, you'll then lengthen your tailbone back, kick your shins back, lower your belly, lift your chest, lift your thighs. And then you'll notice, do you want to flex through the feet? Do you want to point through those feet? Is your tailbone staying super long or your shoulder blades hugging together on your back? Do you want to come more forward so your chest is down? Do you want to go more back so your chest is up? But you're just pausing and you're breathing. And at the end of your next exhalation, you'll gently release from Dhanurasana bow pose. Yep. And then you'll just take a moment to really let yourself relax, really let yourself settle and notice what you notice. Nice work, guys. All right. From here, let's plant our hands alongside our lowest ribs. With strength, draw your low belly in and you're going to push yourself up to hands and knees. So the belly pulls in and you push down to come up to hands and knees. Yep. From there, you might walk your knees forward. If you want, you'll put a blanket underneath your knees or shins, or you won't. It's totally up to you. And then once you feel established with your blanket, your hands are underneath your shins, I want everybody to pull their low belly into their back. So imagine that all your viscera were hanging forward, pull them back into the body or up and away from the floor. From there, push down, there you go. Push down into your left shin, extend your right foot back. Push down into the right big toe, lift up through that inner right thigh, and then hug your front two hip bones together, float that right leg parallel-ish to the floor, keep pulling your viscera away from the floor. And then from there you go, reach your left arm forward in opposition. That inner right thigh lifts. Yep, you squeeze your right butt cheek just a smidge and your viscera is pulling up. So sometimes it feels like I'm sliding my tailbone back towards my right foot. So yeah, there you go. And then you'll pause and you'll breathe. Lift the back of your head. Yep. And then on your next exhale, you'll lower that left hand, lower the right leg, and we'll try all that on the other side. So again, pull your viscera away from the floor. Yep. And from there, slide your left foot back, tuck the toes under, push the foot down, hug the front two hip bones together. Yep. And then lift your left thigh parallel-ish to the floor. Yeah, keeping the viscera lifted. Stay there. Or you might reach your right arm forward in opposition. Keep lifting through the inside edge of that left inner thigh so the outer left hip dials down. Yeah. And then your low belly is pulling in and up. Tailbone's lengthening back. Nice job, guys. On your next exhale, lower that right hand, lower the left knee, curl both sets of toes under, press yourself back to a downward facing dog. And you'll pause here. Your knees are probably super, super bent still or not. Come forward just for a little bit. Does that still feel okay in your shoulders? Okay, stay there. And then I want you to push away from me. So lift the shoulders away from the floor. Here we go. Does that feel okay? Okay. And lift that left armpit up for me just a bit. Yep. And the right now to match it. There we go. Awesome. On your next in breath, find more length through the spine. As you exhale, draw your right knee to your nose. Carefully plant that foot between your hands. Awesome sauce. Your hands might stay on the floor or they might come to your blocks. The left hand would be underneath the left shoulder. The right hand would be underneath the right shoulder. You're lifting through that inner left thigh. From here, pull the heart and sternum forward. As you exhale, start to rotate your ribs to the right. You might bring that right hand outside of the right thigh. Push the right thigh in. Kick the right thigh out. Find more length through the spine. And then you might lift that top arm, right arm up. Some of you will stay right here, just really active through the legs. Some of you will lower that back knee, left knee to the floor. Some of you will reach around and grab the outside edge of your back foot. Twisted monkey. And then you're going to pause here. And I want you to pay attention. Where are you feeling this? You might feel it on the quadricep. You might feel it on the side body. As long as we're not feeling it in the knee, we're good. And so you're just pausing and you're breathing. And then very gently, if you're holding that back foot, release the back foot. Bring both hands to the floor in front of you. Straighten the back leg long. With the hands on the mat, step your right foot back to plank pose. And then you just got 3 breaths. So we haven't been here yet. So I want you to just notice how this feels. You're lifting through your inner thighs. Yep. You're drawing your low belly in. And you're noticing where you can soften. So are you gripping the mat with your hands or can you soften there? Are you gripping your face or can you soften there? At the end of your next exhale, bend your knees, hips high, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And you'll just take a moment to pause and you'll breathe. Notice if you're pressing evenly through both of your hands. Great. That looks good, guys. On your next in-breath, find length through the spine. There you go, Roberta. Exhale, draw that left knee to your nose. Pause. Lower that foot carefully between your hands. And then hands might come to blocks or they might stay on the floor. You'll energize that back leg a lot. Scoop the low belly in and reach your heart forward. And then as you're ready, you'll exhale and rotate the rib cage to the left. And then once the rib cage is rotated to the left, you might bring that left hand to the outside edge of the left thigh, push the left thigh out, push the left thigh in, rotate the rib cage. You might stay there. You might float your left arm to the sky. You might happily stay there, reaching the right armpit forward. Some of you will bend the back knee, lowering it to the floor, reaching around and grabbing the outside edge of that right foot. And then again, play with where you need to be here. Do you need to flex that back foot? Do you need to point that back foot? Are you finding the sensation across the belly of your quads, or is it your knee or your hip? And then you just soften and make any little small adjustments you need to. And then very gently, we're going to come out of this shape. So if you're holding that back foot, release it. Bring your hands back down to the mat. Tuck the back toes under and straighten the back leg long. And then step back to fallen Falakasana, plank pose. 3 breaths. And you're just going to notice, where can you soften here? Where can you soften? Yeah, nice job. The end of your 3rd exhalation, your hips will go back to downward facing dog, and we'll just take a moment to pause. We'll take a moment to breathe. You're welcome. You might notice if you want to shift your pelvis a little right to left, you might notice how it feels to have the weight in your hands. Is it even in the hands? Nice work, guys. And then we'll go ahead and come to stillness if you're in movement. This time, inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. Pause here. Reach that right leg as far up to the sky as you can. Root down through that left foot and feel that stretch happening on the back of that left thigh. The end of your next exhale, you'll inhale with the leg a little higher. Yep. And then exhale, knee to nose, pause, round through the spine, push the floor away. Very gently, you'll lower that foot between your hands. Awesome sauce. From here, step the left foot a little to the left, spin the foot down, and then root down to come up to something between warrior 1 and warrior 2. Yep, I know, something between warrior 1 and warrior 2. So your hips are probably a little splayed towards the left. And for now, let's just bring our hands to our hips to take our awareness out of the upper body. I want you to push down into both of your feet. Now I want you to hug the feet together and then push them away, and then see where you could be to lengthen your tailbone straight down and your chest up. From here, you'll bend more into that front leg. And then you might start spinning your left heel back behind you so that you can find more of a warrior 1 shape. So like halfway between warrior 1 and warrior 2. So we're going to spin the heel back, and you might need to wiggle walk the right foot a little bit to the right. And you'll find that you're suddenly in a longer warrior 1 than you normally are. And then go ahead and reach your arms alongside your ears, and you'll pause and you'll breathe. And you'll notice that this is a much longer Virabhadrasana 1 than you normally have, and you'll find length through the ribs. You'll soften through the shoulders, and you'll take a deeper breath. Nice work, guys. Listen very closely on your next in-breath. Go ahead and straighten that front leg long. Pull both kneecaps up. And then as you exhale, draw the right hand to your right hip. Inhale, lengthen up through that left hand. And exhale, reach forward, out, and down. Bringing the hand to the block or floor underneath your left shoulder. And you'll just take a few moments to breathe. And you'll take a moment to pause. And some of you will stay right here, happy as a clam. Some of you will lower that right hand down to the floor as well. Awesome sauce. And then some of you will bring your left hand to your left hip. Now, from here, if you'd like, you'll start to stack your left hip on top of your right hip. You'll start to roll your right shoulder underneath your left hip, and you're going to push down through that left pinky toe as best as you can. And then you might start to reach your top arm, your left arm up towards the sky for Trikonasana. And then you'll just pause and you'll breathe, and you'll notice what you notice having come into it that way. It's slightly different, yeah. So we're still drawing that outer right hip back. We're pressing down into the right big toe, and you'll notice that you now have more rotation through your spine than you normally do. And you might also feel more sensation on the inside edge of that right foot. Nice job. On your next exhale, go ahead and lower that left hand to the floor. Bend your front knee. plant your palms and step yourself back to plank pose. Now, this time that we're in plank, we're going to just pause here for a moment. And then when you're ready, you will shift your weight forward, lowering through Chaturanga Dandasana. You'll inhale into your baby cobra, whatever that might look like. Might be a big baby cobra. And then you'll exhale and lower down. And then pressing up through hands and knees, pulling the low belly in, and then exhale to downward facing dog. And then you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what that feels like as we take our time to find our body, to find our breath, to find our being and purpose. It reminds me of an article I read yesterday. It was in Dance Magazine. Had to do with this dancer I knew from long, long ago. Apparently at 38, she decided to go to business school and is now running a big artist institute in New York, which is actually pretty cool. All right, let's go ahead. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. The part that I found interesting was she said at 50, she found like she finally had become herself. So I thought that was fascinating. So lift up through that right foot even more. Draw the low belly in. On your next exhalation, you'll draw that left knee to your nose and you'll pause and you'll hover there for a bit. And then you'll lower that foot to the floor. Nice job. You'll step the right foot slightly to the right and spin it down. So we want to stay long. And then you're going to come up for something that's between a warrior 2 and a warrior 1. So it's like super long, like warrior 2. Our hips are probably splayed something to the right. And then we're going to just keep our hands on our hips for the first part. And I want you to push down through both feet. And then I want you to hug them in. And then pay attention to what's happening in your pelvis. And so some of you might then find that you want to wiggle walk your left foot to the left as you start to internally rotate your right foot thigh a little bit more. And it just gives you more depth in that Virabhadrasana 1 and probably a lot more stretch across that inner back thigh. And then if you're happy there, you might stay there or you might reach your arms alongside your ears. But we're going to pause and we're going to breathe. And you're just going to notice if you can soften any unnecessary tension in the face and find more lift through the arms and ease through the shoulders. Yep. On your next inhalation, let's go ahead and straighten that front leg long, pulling both kneecaps up. And then as you exhale, let's draw that left hand to the left hip. Inhale, reach up through the right arm, finding more length. As you exhale, reach forward, out and down to come into a modified version of pyramid pose. And you might stay here and you're just really drawing that outer left hip back with that left thumb, right outer hip comes forward. Some of you will be happily there. Some of you will lower that left hand to the floor or block. Some of you will stay there. Some of you will bring your right hand to your right hip. From there, push down into your legs, push down into that left hand, start to wrap your left ribs under your right ribs on top, your right hip on top, press into your left big toe mound. Yep, keep pulling your heart and sternum forward, and then you might stay there, and then you might lengthen your top arm up, and then you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe, and we're going to find as much length on our underside as possible. And then pull your kneecap up just a smidge. Yep, without hyperextending. Okay. Now, yeah. And you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe and see if you can find ease on the underside of the neck. On your next exhale, go ahead and lower that right hand, bend the front knee, come back into Phalamkasana, planky pose. Planky pose. Doesn't it sound more fun and easy if we say planky pose? Like, oh, no. And then you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe here. And then at the end of your next exhale, you'll shift your weight forward and you'll inhale through either up dog or cobra, whatever feels appropriate for you. Nice job, guys. Yeah. No, that looks really good though. Yeah, I like this. So Roberta says she's doing a toddler cobra. It's not a baby and it's not a big one. It's somewhere in between. It's a big boy cobra. Alexander would be very happy to hear that. And then you'll pause and you'll breathe and you'll just notice what you notice when you find yourself back into your downward facing dog. And you just notice what you notice. How do you feel once you get back there? Where can you find a deeper sense of breath? Where can you find a little bit more space and ease in the body, in your being, in you? Nice work, guys. All right. At the end of your next exhalation, you'll bend your knees and you'll travel to the top of your mat. You might hop, you might walk, you might not do any of that, but you're going to get to the top of your space. And when you get there, I want you to separate your feet hip distance apart. And then let's slide our hands up our shins and we'll stay here for a halfway lift. We're avoiding Uttanasana for the time being. And I want everyone to shift their weight forward so it feels like you're on the precipice of a new beginning. And then you're going to push your shins into your hands into your shins, blossom your buttocks back, draw your chin slightly towards your throat. Yep. And then see if you can soften the shoulders away from the ears. Yep. It's looking good, guys. I wonder what would happen if you pinned your fingertips. Does that give you more length through your spine? All right. And then from here, let's bring our hands to our hips. Our spine is still long. You're going to bend your knees. You're going to sit your butt on a chair that doesn't exist, and then bring your spine up to vertical. From there, the hands might stay there, or they might reach forward. They might reach up and overhead. But I want you to push down through those big toe mounds and imagine that you're sliding your pinky toes wide. And then you're going to pause and you're going to breathe and you're going to notice if your face is all grimacy or if it's not. Yeah, and then notice how you can be easier on yourself, how you can be a little bit more relaxed. And we've just got 3 more breath cycles here. 3 more steady breath cycles here. Keep pressing into the big toes. Nice job, guys. At the end of your next exhalation, you'll inhale, push down, stretch up. You might look up. And then you'll exhale, lower the hands, soften or close the gaze, and just take a moment to be in your body, in your being. And then notice where you can soften something. So the weight is even on the feet, the front, the back, the right, the left. There's not too much gripping around the abdomen or the glutes or the shoulders or the neck. All right. From here, I want you to imagine that you are filled with sand. Let's pour all the sand into your left leg and float your right leg up. So pour all the sand into your left leg and float your right leg up. Great. From here, we're going to start to bend that left knee, cross your right ankle over the top of the left thigh, and we're going to hinge at the hips. Our hands are going to come down to the floor or the blocks underneath us, and we're going to find an outer hip stretch. So hands either come to the floor or the blocks underneath us. And you're going to press that right foot perhaps into the inner left arm crease. You're going to flex through that right foot. You're going to bend your left knee until you find some crazy stretch happening in your right outer hip. Some of you will lift and lower that right knee. Some of you will not, but we're paying attention to what's happening on that, on Roberta found one. And you'll breathe when you find one. You'll breathe when you find one. You'll breathe when you find one. Nice job, guys. As we're ready, we're going to gently come out of this. So your hands are going to release from the support. You're going to push in that left leg. You're going to put all the sand in the left leg, float the right leg up. And then lower that leg down. And then we are going to shake it out a little bit. You might stay completely still. You might make a horsey lip with your mouth. And then we'll go ahead and try all of that on the other side. So the image is the sand. The sand pours all the way into the right side of the body to float the left leg up. And then with that stability, you'll start to bend into the right leg. The sand keeps pouring into the right leg, cross the left ankle over. And then we're just going to hinge at our hips. And our hands are reaching down to the floor or the blocks underneath us. And then you're going to press that ball of the left foot into the right inner arm if you can. You continue to bend into that your right knee. And then notice what happens if you lift or lower that left knee a bit, bending into that right knee. Yeah, guys, you're all doing great. And then we'll gently start to come out of this. So you'll gently make your hands lighter. You'll pour more weight into that right leg. If the sand keeps going to the right leg, the left leg floats up. Yeah. And then you'll gently lower that leg down. If you need to shimmy it out, wiggle it out, do that. Awesome sauce. And then when we're all Done with that, you're going to turn to face the long edge of your mat, whichever way you want. You're going to separate your feet about 3 feet apart. I want you to turn your toes out, your heels in, and you're going to pop a squat. Pop a squat. Awesome sauce. This is a psych out. You're going to take your hands away from your thighs, and you're going to sit really, you're going to sit. And so I want you to just breathe here. Notice that, you got to relax your toes. You're probably going to have to squeeze your tuchus. You're going to lengthen that tailbone down, the heart and sternum up. Yep, we're just going to sit here. We're going to breathe. And we're going to breathe. And there's going to come a point where your legs are going to be like, I hate you, Jessica. Get me out of this shape. And you're going to see if you can soften and if you can relax. As we sit a little lower into our horsey goddess stance. Yep. We've got 3 more breaths. We've got 2 more breaths. Got 1 more breath. Push down into your legs to straighten your legs. Come up to stand. Yeah, that was intense. And then you're going to hop or wiggle walk your feet back towards your midline. Great. And then last little thing, I want you to just shake it out. Find your body in this moment, noticing what you have to do to relax. Horsey lips are welcomed. And then when you feel complete, again, we're going to take 1 more balance. So we're going to shift all the weight back into our right leg. So all the sand goes back into the right leg. The left leg floats up in front of us. And then externally rotate that left leg. Bring the left sole of the foot to the inside edge of your right thigh or shin bone. And our ankles are going to wobble a lot here. And I want you to notice if you can be with the wobbling. Sometimes it's like in movement in particular, like when you're falling in dance, you have to soften. It's one of those things that when you're falling, you can't control it. You just kind of got to go with it. And you'll find that you'll find your balance by not trying to grip, but just noticing how you can relax. Awesome sauce. Yep. And some of you may take an arm variation. Some of you may not. You may find that your ankle's doing enough that you don't want to, but that's up to you. And then when you're ready, we're gently going to come out of this shape so that left leg will come back to center. You'll release the foot next to its mate, wiggle and shake things out if that feels good to you. And then we'll try all that on the other side. So the weight pours into your left leg. The right leg comes up in front of you. Then you'll externally rotate the thigh and then see if you can plant that right foot onto the inside edge of the thigh or the calf. And then again, arm variation of your choice, but tailbone is lengthening down. And we're really exploring the wobbles and that supporting ankle today. Notice where you can soften and how that actually allows you to find a greater sense of stability here. Whereas if you try to grip for dear life, you're going to knock yourself out of the shape. Yep, and you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing and you're breathing. And then when you feel complete, that right leg is going to come back through center. You'll lower the foot down. Awesome sauce. You'll shake it out if you'd like. I like those little dances. That's fun, guys. And then let's turn to face the top of our space and stand with our feet hip distance apart. From here, just bring your hands to your bum. Inhale, heart lift up. And exhale, slide those hands down, your legs folding forward into Uttanasana, forward fold. Hands might touch your ankles. They might touch the floor. They might touch blocks when you get all the way down there. And then you're just going to take a moment to pause here and just feel what this feels like to be inverted in this moment. And then as you're ready, you'll gently plant your palms on the mat. And this one, I would encourage you to just step back to downward facing dog. You can do whatever you want, but I would encourage you to just step there. And then again, from the downward facing dog, you'll just take 3 breaths, pulling those inner armpits up, lengthening the tailbone back. Yeah, good job, guys. Nice long spines. As you're ready, let's lower the knees to the mat and take Balasana, child's pose. So knees either together or as wide as your outer hips. Arms are going to reach forward for today. And then if you can for today, you'll come to the tips of your fingertips, push your fingertips down and forward, draw your pelvis down and back, and just feel what that feels like to find a little bit more length along the side body. Nice job. All right, on your next in-breath, we're gonna come forward onto forearms and knees. So you'll crawl yourselves forward. Some of you will have that number 11 shape. Some of you will take that prayer karate chop shape. And then you're gonna curl your toes under. You're gonna round through your spine a lot like those little things we did at the beginning. And then start to lift your pelvis up, push the elbows down, and we're gonna find dolphin. And your armpits are lifting up. And then some of you will walk your feet in closer to your face. That's looking good, guys. And you're just gonna pause and you're gonna breathe and you're pushing down through the elbows and the forearms as you lift up through the inner armpits. And you'll just take about 5 to 10 breaths here. And when you feel complete, you're gonna go back to child's pose. So you're just pausing in this inverted shape, noticing what it feels like to be here for you, noticing where you can soften, where you can ease any of the tension. And then when you're complete, child's pose is our next stop. And so you'll just take a few breaths to rest there in child's pose. And in that child's pose, you'll do whatever arm variation feels appropriate to you at this point. Yeah, so the arms might be back, they might be that diamond shape. Okay. And then very gently, we're going to start to roll ourselves up to sit. And then once you find yourself vertical, just take a moment to be here. The eyes might soften or close. And just observe and notice what you feel in this shape. Noticing where you can find a little bit more ease. So you just got 3 breath cycles here. Where can you soften any tension, maybe around the mouth, the eyes, the shoulders, maybe even the abdomen? All right. Gently, you'll soften the chin towards the chest, flutter your eyes open, and then bring your head back to vertical. And then we're going to shift our pelvis over to the floor and swing your legs around in front of you. So however you want to do that. Now, for some of us, we are going to use our blanket, and you'll start with it like this. So that's about a quartered shape. And then you'll fold it like this. So it's about an 1/8 of a shape. And you might fold it again. So I guess that now makes it a 1/16 of a shape. And then like we're going side saddle, it'll come over to your right side. Now, if you already know that your ankles tend to be sensitive, if you have another blanket, you'll put it over to the left. But otherwise, we're just gonna lift our hips over to the right. And you're gonna slide that thing, lift our hips over to the left and slide that blanket underneath your right hip. Cool. And then we're gonna bend that left knee. Hold on to the top of your left ankle and you'll swim your left ankle next to your right hip. Great. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you are going to start to walk your hands back and you might stay right there. We're trying to target something across the belly of our left thigh. Some of you will lift your pelvis up and slide your tailbone forward and then lower yourselves down to your forearms. And some of you will lay all the way down, but you're just going to take a moment to pause here. And you'll breathe. You'll pause and you'll breathe. Oh, cool. That was not clear at home. So we are actually sitting on the blanket underneath our right hip. There we go. And you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe. And it just allows a little bit more evenness through the hips without so much torque on that knee. And then when you're ready, those that are down, you're going to gently come out of it. So you might just roll over onto your right side. You might reverse what we did, coming onto the forearms, coming onto the hands, walking yourselves forward. And then you're going to grab your outer left ankle, pulling the knee forward and sending the leg long, shifting your weight over to the left, removing the blanket from the right. And then take a moment to pause there and just notice what you notice between the sides. And then we'll go ahead and take that on the other side, sliding our little blanket saddle over to the left, shift to the left, slide the blanket underneath, to the right, slide the blanket underneath your left hip. And then once you've got your left butt cheek on that blanket, you'll bend your right knee. Reach around, grab the top of the right ankle and swim it behind you. And then you'll go ahead and lower down. So you might shift your pelvis forward, lifting the tailbone up, lowering onto forearms, maybe lowering all the way down, but make sure your left leg is still active. Yep. And then you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're pausing. And you're trying to find a nice stretch happening across the front of that right quadricep, maybe the right low belly. Yeah. And you just got 2 or 3 more breath cycles here, feeling how that feels. And then at the end of your next exhalation, you're going to gently come out of that. So if that means you roll over to the left and come up, if that means you reverse what you did, you come up. But you're going to come there and then grab the top of your right ankle, swim the right ankle in front of you, shift the bum to the right, lift the pelvis up. And then some of you will sit on that blanket, some of you will not, but we're going to take a Dandasana into a Paschimottanasana. And then from there, you'll just start to hinge forward at the hips. You might walk your hands forward alongside your shin bones. You might grab towards the tops of your feet or rather soles of your feet. And then you might start by just having the spine super long and then allow yourself to melt into your thighs as you would like, but you're just going to breathe. The feet are super active and you're just pausing and you're breathing here. We've got 2 more breath cycles here. The feet are flexed, pulling towards your knees. The head can be soft or the spine can be long, but you're just noticing what you notice. And then at the end of your next exhalation, we'll gently come up, walking our hands back up to walk our spine to vertical. Once you get there, pause for a moment and just let the nervous system catch up. And then we'll go ahead and take our last shape, seated. So you'll bend both knees. You'll let your legs open wide and draw the soles of your feet together for Baddha Konasana. You might grab the outer edges of the feet and pull your heart and sternum forward. And then you're going to hinge at your hips coming forward as far as you want, letting the elbows rest into the inner thighs. And you might start by just staying with the spine super long. You might then find you want to round in, but you're just going to pause and you're going to breathe here. You might need to adjust your hands, and if so, do that too. Great. And very gently, you'll come up and out of this. Once you're vertical, the hands will come to the knees, close the knees together. People in person, you'll turn around. People at home, you can turn around too if you'd like. We're going to slowly make our way on to our backs. Another sneaky core work if you'd like, or you just plop down. And then when you find yourself on your back, this is the 3rd time we've been on our back, so I want you to notice what it feels like to be on your back now. Where do you feel the points of contact with the floor? How does the body feel? How do you feel? As you check in this moment, I want you to notice if there's any final shape or shapes that you'd like to do. Some of you may revisit that constructive rest we started with. Some of you might want a simple supine twist. Some of you might want a supported bridge or happy baby. Some of you might be straight up ready for Shavasana. Would you allow yourself to just check in? And I encourage you to take the path of least resistance. So whatever is the most relaxing for you, I encourage you to do that. And you've got a couple of breath cycles to explore doing whatever you're doing. Yeah. Yeah. And those of you that chose some type of movement, if you did something asymmetrical, please visit the other side. If you're in supported bridge and you'd like to stay there, you can stay there. And then we're all going to find our way into our final resting shape. And so you're going to take your time to get there if you're not there just yet. And as you find yourself in your final shape, those that are still getting there, I want you to take the time to really set yourselves up well. Those that have been hanging out for a while, I want you to notice where you can soften just a little bit more. And as we all settle into whatever this final shape will be for us today, we're going to start by finding our breath first. So I want you to just take a big exhale, letting go of whatever you're holding on to now. And you'll take a big breath in and a big breath out. And you'll do two more just like that. Big breath in, followed by a big breath out. And let it be as loud as you want it to be. Something very energetically pleasing about letting it be loud. The next time you inhale, you'll hold the breath at the top. Hold it for a couple beats, and then a big exhale out. And you'll do two more like that. Big breath in, holding the breath at the top of the inhalation for a couple beats. And then a big breath out. Last one, just like this. Great. The next time you breathe in, you'll take a big breath in. You'll hold your breath at the top of your inhalation. You'll see if you can sip in just a little bit more air, maybe into the upper ribs and the chest. And then a gratifying exhale through the mouth, letting it go. Yeah, and you'll do two more just like that. So take a big breath in. The very top of your inhalation, you'll hold your breath. And then you'll see if you can sip in a little bit more air. Have an exhale, just letting it all go. And then your last time, big breath in. Top of your inhalation, hold your breath. Draw in a little bit more air. And then just let it all go. As best as you can, you'll let your breath now become more involuntary. And the invitation for today is to notice how much more you can soften with every exhalation. It doesn't have to be big to be impactful, but just allow yourself to set the intention that with every exhale, I soften a bit more, I relax a little bit more. I release a bit more. I surrender to the weight of gravity a little bit more. I trust in the support beneath me a little bit more. And you'll just be with yourself for the next few moments, allowing every exhalation to become softer, noticing that that creates the space for every inhalation to become fuller, to become deeper, to become more nurturing and vibrant. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just notice what you notice. If there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape, by all means, hang out here. When you are ready to move on, you'll allow small movement, relaxing movement to re-enter into the body in whatever way feels good to you. Those in stillness, stay as long as you'd like. Those in movement, you'll start to roll on to one of your sides and you just pause there for a few breath cycles. From your side, you'll roll your chest more towards the floor. Press into your top hand to start to walk your spine slowly up to vertical. When you do find yourself vertical, you'll take the opportunity to sit well, maybe elevating your pelvis on a block or a blanket. And when you do find yourself vertical, I do encourage you to really take a moment to check in as you sit there. Notice if you need to make any small adjustments in the body so it feels like you can have a bit more ease as you're here. Soften any tension around your mouth, around your shoulders. Notice if there's any unnecessary tension in the hands or the neck. And just take a few breaths here. Go ahead and bring your right hand to your heart. Stack your left hand on top of your right. And I want you to feel the weight of your hands into each other, the weight of the hands into your chest, the power of the lungs and the heart pressing into the rib cage, floating the hands. I can't speak for any of you, but I do know that I spend a lot of time worrying about the things that I need to do to show up and be okay. And it's interesting, there are lots of different narratives that say if we can just relax and just be ourselves, more of our own gifts, our own strengths will inherently come through. And so as you take these last few breath cycles here, breathing into your own hands, breathing into your own heart, I want to invite you to notice where some of that efforting you'd like to soften in your own life, where you can relax just a little bit more in your relationships, in your body, in your life, in your work, so that the gift that only you have, the strength that only you have, can come forth. We'll go ahead and complete our practice with a collective breath, followed by a collective Om. Go ahead and bring your hands to heart center Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other, receive the weight of the thumbs into your sternum, and then lift your heart towards your hands. Soften your chin down towards your throat, and then gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Audible exhale. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. To that light, to that breath, and to that sound, we bow. Namaste.